With all the craziness in this world, we are here to have open and honest conversations to help navigate our thoughts.
Sometimes we are right and sometimes we're wrong. But in the end, if we aren't learning, we aren't living.
This is Philip.
And this is Wes.
And we are
Two Bottles Deep. Hey, Phil.
Hello, Wes.
It is another beautiful day in the TBD studio.
Gorgeous.
Minus the ragweed or sinus stuff or allergies.
I absolutely despise, if I'm going to be snotty, I'd rather it just be snot and not that stuff that just hangs in my nose. So if I sound like I'm trying to be Willie Nelson, it's just the massive amount of drainage going
On the
on
road
right
again.
On the road
Just
again.
Can't wait to get on the road again.
Hey, babe, we got a really nice message from one of our listeners.
Oh,
did you see it?
We did. She's
We did.
so sweet.
I want to read it because it really meant a lot to us.
Yeah.
She says, I'm so happy I found this podcast. I was raised in a strict Christian home, Pentecostal, and then Baptist as a teenager. Obviously, what I was taught of LGBTQ plus people was awful. As a 38-year-old woman, I am still unlearning the horrible things I was taught. I'm happy to have come so far, but finding podcasts like this helps with my journey in finding what I really believe and deconstructing my faith. Just wanted to say I appreciate this podcast very much.
Oh.
So, thank you, listener. I didn't know if you wanted your name said or not, so we're not going to say it.
You never know, but we see you, we appreciate you, and that definitely brightened the old week.
Yes, and you're learning. We love that.
Yeah. Well, and I got a text, Philip, that you don't know about. This is a direct text.
Oh, gosh. Here we go.
Our friend Marie.
Marie. ...
What did it say without reading it? Oh. Where is Omar going? ... Is Philip okay?
It's so funny.
How sweet is that?
It's very sweet. And I don't think I realized how many people were kind of following that journey of. So Omar, if you don't know, Omar is one of my best friends. We lived together, but I've been friends with him for 7 years since I moved here. And he moved to Charlotte, North Carolina to be with his boo thing. And I had so many people reach out. Like, are you okay? What do you need? Do you need to meet for drinks or anything?
Right,
I'm
right.
like, I mean, I am sad. I think you can be sad, but also just continue on with your life. So I appreciate people reaching out. But the going away party, that was
much fun. Who was the entertainer? She did a great job.
Yes, she did. It was Justine Vanderblair. She's out of
Follow
Charleston.
her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Oh, she doesn't even live here?
Well, she's from Charleston originally, lives here now. Because she's
came
on
to your
the
townhouse.
Right,
for
I
a
flew
show.
her in on a private one-seater. I know she did great. She did a kind of a Barbie themed. You know, if you're gonna have a gay going away party, you better have a drag queen.
And you had a backdrop and you had balloons.
Yes.
There were glitter bombs. At one point, Omar's boyfriend was handing the glitter bombs where they like blow up or whatever. And he's like, but do not show Omar. And then Tanya's like, Omar, how does this work? And he
Within
showed
seconds of showing Tanya and saying, do not tell Omar, she does a
I look
180.
over.
There's not even a pause. She does a 180 and goes, Omar, how do you work these things?
He's like, what is
He's like, what is it? I was like, Tanya.
Oh, it was a confetti gun, not a glitter. But it was a fun party.
It was. I'm glad you got to come back.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. We miss you, Omar. I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll see him this weekend. He's
probably at the door now.
flying back.
Just a good rule of thumb, if anyone asks you, can I bring a glitter bomb to your party? I would say if it's your home, no. If it's someone else's home, yes.
How was that to clean up?
I did laundry. Well, two things. After we left the party, we went out, and I had confetti from the glitter thing in my pocket, so I threw it in the air.
At the bar.
The bartender was like, that was an entrance. I was like, clean it up. But like 2 weeks later, this week, actually, I was cleaning, and there was confetti underneath the couch cushions. There was confetti.
Oh, yeah.
There was one in my fridge. A piece of confetti in the. I was like, Lord,
it gets everywhere.
It does.
It gets everywhere. What do you have going on this week?
Well, I want to talk to you about maybe some training you need to go through.
What part of life? Let's narrow it down.
Gosh, I think this week. How about how to post stories on Instagram and Facebook? So, y'all, I'm at work, doing great things. Great things.
You're like saving lives.
I just get a text. It's like, are you in West dating? I was like, well, that's odd. After 3 years of doing a podcast, we just decided to, kick it off. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, your post. I look on my Facebook story. Y'all, Wes has somehow, like when he posts on Two Bottles Deep, it somehow connects to my personal Facebook. So on my personal Facebook story, it's a very close-up picture of Wes. And I voted sticker.
My sticker. You have to post your sticker when you vote.
Yeah, because everybody's dying to keep up with who voted. So then it just looks like that I didn't vote, that I'm just so proud of Wes that I posted you. So to answer everyone's question, no, Wes and I are not dating, and he needs to learn how to post stories correctly.
I thought I hit do not post, but then it posted twice. And I don't do y'all have that happen to you? Like it happens on my personal one all the time. And I'm like, I didn't hit post, and then it's up there twice.
Yeah.
And I don't get
you can delete one of them.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, I could have deleted it, but we had to keep it up, for the fans.
I could have taken it down too, but I was like, let's see how this one plays out in the old dating world.
Dating, that's a fun topic, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're not dating, who are we dating?
That's a brilliant question. If we're not dating, who are we dating? A lot of
people think we're dating.
Oh, if we're not dating.
Yeah, if we're not dating.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people do assume. Or they either assume one of us is straight, me, or that we're dating.
You, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Or we're dating. I get that answer a lot because they're like, well, if you're together a lot. And I'm like, that's not how it works. Right?
I mean, there's just so many issues with dating. I mean, we talk about modern dating, of course, being different than how people dated in the past. I think throughout history, it's challenging. I just think there's so many more layers.
But think of how long have your parents been married?
53 years.
Okay, mine are 47-ish.
So we win. My parents win.
Yeah, you win. Pat and Don.
Yeah, they
win the prize. What do we got for him, Phil?
Me.
Two Bottles Deep fan. Well, back in the day, it was a societal norm. So you back in the day, some people didn't go to college. They got out of high school, they got married, white picket fence, and you had to start a family because that was kind of the expectation.
Yeah, but it's crazy to think now that the amount of people, do you know how many people, what percentage of people are single in the world?
78%.
78% of people are single. That's good for us.
Feels like it.
40% of people in this world are single. That's like, if I'm doing my math correctly, carry the 1 to abacus, pull down the calculator. It's like 127 million people, which is actually, it's kind of sad to think we have so many options.
The number of single people back in the day was like 20-something percent.
22% of people were single 50 years ago.
A lot of research has been had on that.
So, I mean, at that point, I figure out if people were dating, what was it, 50 years ago, 22% of people were dating. I should have started dating when I was like 1.
You're right. The numbers were so low. Yeah. Like, I mean, think about it. Like, because my parents met in high school. Of course, there was no internet, no anything now. It's interesting. I want to go through this topic today because with 120-something million people, I should be able to find one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when we talk about our friends dating, everybody kind of has the same story. Dating is this, dating is that, dating is tough. And I have friends in Chicago, Austin. You have a lot of friends in DC. So it's kind of the same everywhere. It's not.
Yeah, I think everybody has a bad go of dating. I think dating at 48 is really tough. Dating at 48 for me is like going to the doctor at 48. Like you're kind of in a room with a stranger, talking about really personal situations, and by the end of it, I'll end up with a finger in my butt.
You're sitting at Starbucks on a first date. Ooh, what's stuck up there?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of text conversations. They go on and on. They're either inconsistent.
Yes.
People don't respond. There's ghosting. There's the Bitcoin bots.
Bitcoin, yes.
You ever get a message like, let's take this to WhatsApp? I'm like, you're literally 4 miles away. Like, I'm not going to WhatsApp you.
And I don't know if is it the same for straight? Like, there's a ton of hot Asian guys on our like on Tinder and Bumble for gay people, and 99% of them are bots. They immediately want to go to WhatsApp and get your social. So, gosh, I've lost so much money, so much money.
Fall for it every time.
I mean, on top of like online dating, you got to deal with everything else: societal norms, past experiences. Ooh. How your family brought you up. Do you have a fear of commitment, religion, lack of dating history? But if you want to find a partner, you got to do it.
There's 127 million people looking.
Let's go through them one at a time today.
Jerry out of Beaumont, Texas.
I'll do it. Fine, I'll take it.
He's white.
It's fine.
Really? Okay. Well, but we can talk about the rules of dating. There's a ton of websites. There's a ton of. That's the great thing when you look at all the negatives of social media and technology. There's so many more positives. There's a lot of reading. There's a thing called BetterHelp. It's like a therapy company that you can kind of log into. But I want to go through some of we've done dating rules. It's been a few seasons ago.
Yeah.
Might have changed a little bit. I'm not as stern on the 3 rules that I've had, but kind of the common rules. And again, it's going to depend on the person. These are our views and our views only, not trademarked.
Yeah.
And I think we go through. I think we help everyone.
So these are, I think, 6 or 7 of the general rules for dating, just overall dating, not necessarily first date. We'll get to that. But let's talk through the general rules of dating. Rule number 1, be clear on what you want.
That's a tough. That should be towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, does that mean I want a date, or I want you in my bed, or is that all of that?
Because intent. Yeah. So if you're on Tinder with an intent, and we match, and my intent does not match with your intent, then we're off from the start. So I like that one up front.
I do, but being clear about what I want. So if you and I match on Tinder, which God, there's a good chance we will at this point. And a guy, because that's a question, what are you looking for, right? And if you're not on Grindr or something, you're not specifically on a hookup site, then I always feel weird about those answers. Because if I say long-term partner, that seems like I've already gone past the dating piece and I'm obsessed with finding a partner. So I don't know how to say it other than I'm looking to date with the eventual goal of a long-term partner.
Let's all, no matter if you're listening and you have a partner or recently single, whatever your situation is, close your eyes unless you're driving and kind of put yourself, I'm putting myself in this situation, because honestly, if you would send me that, I would be like, great, this guy eventually wants an LTR. I wouldn't think that you want to bypass it.
Yeah. So it doesn't seem too aggressive for me to be looking for a long-term partner in the next week.
Yeah.
Maybe the last part.
Ultimately, the ideal goal would be a long-term partner.
Yeah.
I like to take things slow and just get to know people.
I think in the straight world, I think if a female would generally ask that question. If a straight guy was I'm looking to have kids and get married, that could turn off a girl because she doesn't know, is he just obsessed with the final outcome? I don't know.
Right. I could see that, but then I think if you are in your 30s, women have to think about if they really want kids, and that might be a good question for maybe a straight female.
God, I wish we knew some.
We had one on the show.
We did. We had 2. They're still single.
So if you want to come on a blind date, and it might happen, come on over to us.
All right. So we got to be clear about what we want.
Be clear on what you want. Number 2 on the list was visualize it.
Okay.
This takes me back to, right? Okay. I want to
visualize what? How the date's going to go? Are you visualizing it while you're on the date?
Think about it.
Okay.
The Secret. Close your eyes. The Secret. You ever read it? We lost Philip.
Oh, I read The Secret years ago, so I don't remember.
Yeah, and it's a movie as well. There may be an audiobook, but you visualize it. There's this aura about you, and I think if you are unauthentic or you're on a date and you just got out of a relationship or you're having a really bad week, you can't visualize what you want, and I think that aura will come off.
But are you saying right before you walk into your coffee date, you are in your car, eyes closed, I'm going to walk in and get a grande espresso martini. No, grande espresso. What are you visualizing? how the date's going to go?
Yeah, I try to put out in the universe and visualize all the positives. Like, we're going to have great chemistry. We're going to have a great connection. We're going to have a great conversation, right? Okay. And that's kind of what I visualize. I don't visualize the wedding. I don't visualize children because I don't want any. I don't visualize what kind of car or house we'll have. I visualize that it's going to be a great connection, because then that puts that into the universe. That to me is visualizing it. It's kind of like mind mapping. It's like, I want my speech to go this way. I want work to go this way today. Okay. I do that with a
I could do that. I usually spend the few minutes in my car before the date saying things like, don't come on too hot. Don't talk too much.
Oh yeah.
Don't be too aggressive. So I'm gonna switch that up on my next date. All right, number 3. Get rid of negative thoughts.
Boom. It's right there, black and white.
Yeah.
Positive. And that kind of goes with visualizing it. That goes with keeping the past in the past. This is a new person. You may have chatted for a week or two or a year. Don't know, however long. But get rid of the negative thoughts and go into it. PMA, positive mental attitude.
Yeah, because it's easy. I catch myself too, like doing the old disclaimer as I'm walking in, like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Dating's tough. Like, kind of setting yourself up for the idea that it's probably not going to work. So then that kind of comes to fruition, and where you're back to single. So
I think that could be healthy in a way, knowing, because I think we have unrealistic expectations for ourselves in the society. So I think there's a healthy part of saying, you know what, it might not work, but I'm going to go into it with the intent of just getting to know someone, and having a good conversation. Because if you're not worried about a ring or getting too far ahead of the game, you're like, I just want to have a good conversation, enjoy some coffee or a drink or a mocktail, maybe dinner. If you're ballsy on a first date and get dinner, just kind of, get rid of the negative thoughts and but I think it's okay to have that one thought of it might not work out. And because then it's like, when you feel like you're the only one in the world, that is like, I'm the only one that, my car broke down and my life is crap or whatever it is. It's like, no, there's a lot of people especially in the same situation, and you're not alone.
If all your friends are dating, I've been in that situation. Or you go to the party and everybody's coupled up and you're like, oh, we're playing a game? Whose team am I going to be on? They're like, oh, Philip, you can be with them.
Third wheel.
No, we love you.
Yep.
So, get rid of negative thoughts, y'all.
Speaking of parties, number 4 on here is let your friends be the judge.
I'm all on board with this one. I really do try to introduce y'all to somebody after a few dates, because it also kind of throws them into the fire. Like, how do they manage conversations? Are they kind? Do they act interested? Are they shy? All of those aren't like red flags, but it just like helps build your dossier, if you will, for the person. So I'm all for it. Let your friend get their input. What do you think about them?
Well, and
unless they don't like them, and then who cares? Your friends are stupid.
Well, and like y'all, we know each other, right? Yeah. So if we're all at, if I would have brought someone to Omar's party or whatever, y'all, like, we all know each other. We all know what makes each other tick. And then sometimes it's an outside. I could be like totally like in love with someone, and from the outside, y'all are like, nope. Take the blinders off. Like, we know you at your core. This is new. Here's what I see. It's like an outside third-party opinion.
But here's the problem with that, I think, is if you had somebody that you were dating and told me you were really vibing with, but I didn't think they were good for you, I might not tell you because I don't want to mess up your good vibe. Like, right. So I don't know when to tell you. I think as it kept progressing, if I kept seeing the same things with that person not changing, maybe I would tell you then. But I might not tell you. I might just be like, I want you to, you look happy. I want you to enjoy time. And maybe I've misjudged this person, or maybe just that interaction, they were having a bad day, or, there's all sorts of things. So I don't know if I would tell you.
I think it comes into, that's a really good point. I think it comes into play farther down the line.
Yeah. Like the wedding day.
First time and they walk in, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Not
Did you see the way he sat down?
The way he holds his hand.
It's a no for me, dog.
Holds that fork.
That's my favorite.
I mean, we're tough on people. But I think if there's a red flag, that's a good point. Because if there's a red flag, it'd be a little bit farther down the line. It's kind of like if you know a couple and you know both of them and one of them cheated, you're friends with both of them. So you're kind of stuck in that What do I say? When do I say it? How do I say it?
Yeah.
You know, but if you only knew one of them and you knew the other one, it would be a lot easier, right? But yeah, we know our friends. Also, when do you introduce them to your friends? How many dates?
I mean, I'd be third. Like,
Okay.
I think a third date is a good, like, mixer time. And that doesn't have to be my friends. It could be his friends. I want to start knowing how they are interacting with their friends, with my friends, how they, you know, are they positive? Are they negative? Are they confident? Are they not confident? And it just helps me understand the person.
And are they welcoming? Because I think, like, that's one of the fun part of dating is when you get to that point, and it may be, 3 dates. It might be a couple months, whatever, however long that looks for y'all. And that's the fun part because I want to see, are they as interactive? Are they as outgoing? Is there one of their friends that just kind of sits in the corner of a room? Totally fine. But it's like, I want to see how I'm received. I want to see how I receive them and what that energy's like.
Yeah.
That's like a really fun part of dating, I think.
And I also think we are our most authentic selves around our friends. So I want them to see me in my true self. Like, I can be loud. I can be try to be the center of attention, shouting, yelling, I want them to see that because I don't want to hide that until the wedding night. And they're like, what happened to you when all your friends came for the wedding like that?
No, being authentically you, I think is
and I want to see them be authentic with their friends. Like, are they just sitting on the couch not talking, or are they actively asking me questions and following me on Instagram and things like that?
Liking everything. Well, and two, it's like you don't want to get 6 months in and find out the real them, because dating is the first couple dates are like interviews, right?
Yeah.
Some may be a little more key, but they really are. You're not going into it like this next one, complaining about your love life. Like, you're not going to meet someone at Chewy's and be like, boy, the last 7 months have been rough.
Being single just sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, you don't talk about politics or your ex. You may not even talk about family. I think the first dates is like I think the positivity attracts positivity.
Agree.
And if they're not positive, I know right away, right? If they're not going to receive it, now I'll give someone a couple dates unless it's really bad. Because again, sometimes a first date, especially if it's over like Zoom or FaceTime, some people aren't as comfortable on camera as other people are.
Yeah, I think I'm at fault at that. Mine, complaining about love life, is never like overt negativity as much as just like little snide comments that I'll make that I don't realize. I do it with friends I've noticed lately where it's like, I'll make a comment about going somewhere alone and be like, on my own as usual. Like just that. It's funny, but it's also like, it's a little, I don't know if hurtful is the right, but it sometimes feels weird that I'm this age and single. But no one cares to know about that. I'm like, starting your first date with, I can't believe I'm this old and still haven't found anyone. Tell me about you, Larry. Yeah. Like, that's not a good way to introduce. So stop complaining about your love life.
I mean, God, no. And when you go on, especially at first, so we're talking about a first date here. When you go on that first date, it should be very uplifting. It should be, what are your interests? What do you it's kind of like a cover letter, right? You're kind of putting out there. It's like, hey, this is who I am, right? And if we don't jive, we don't jive. But it's got to be all positive. Have you ever been on a date where it was really kind of like a Debbie Downer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I think there's some people who are just naturally pessimistic. They're going to just, the way they see the world is always the kind of glass is half empty type thing. So, but I interpret that as being a negative person. And that may not be true, but like if you and I are eating and we both get the same dish and I'm like, how do you like your fettuccine Alfredo? And you're like, well, it needs salt. I'm immediately like, really? Are you kidding me? Like, you can't just enjoy this basic ass pasta dish.
Yep. No, that's a good one.
Yeah. Accepting someone for who they are. I mean,
yeah.
I guess that's as opposed to like going in and being like, I sure wish they worked out more, or I wish they had a different voice, or I wish they dressed differently, or I wish, like, meet somebody where they are and then go from there.
Right. And you see that quote all the time, marry someone for who they are today, not who you want them to become.
That's true.
And we have a lot of friends that have been through some relationships that lasted a long time that maybe shouldn't have lasted because, You either meet them and they were great and now you see this downward trend, or you meet them and you're like, oh, you know what? I went through that phase and it was a phase for me. What if it's not a phase for them? And that's accepting people for who they are, like right there. And it doesn't mean they're a bad person, but it doesn't mean that you need to keep going out to them for them. Right.
My dad gives me amazing advice my whole life. One of the things I always remember him saying is people's core personality will never change. So if you are on a date and you're like, maybe they'll get funnier, or maybe they'll get more compassionate, or maybe they'll do this. They're not. I mean, maybe they will.
Yeah.
But most people's core personality, it's set by the time I'm dating. Yes. I mean, maybe at 18 things can change, but the people I'm dating, 19 and over, I'm not dating 19-year-olds. Settle down.
Legal.
But yeah, just know that, the personality's pretty much set. So yeah.
That's a good one.
Date the person you want to marry now. Is that what was it? Date the
Not for who you want them to become. I mean, we all have our image of our ideal guy or ideal girl, but that person may not ever get there, or it may not be that person.
Yeah.
And it changes as we go older. I know stuff I used to look for, I don't look for anymore. And my rules of dating, you'll find out later in the episode.
I'm so nervous.
Have changed. Remember, I had 3 rules.
Mm-hmm.
So, and those have changed a little bit.
So, let's talk about first dates specifically. All right.
Oh,
you and I have been on many first dates. Not a brag.
A lot.
But these are some of the rules for specifically a first date. All right. Number 1, don't take it too personally.
I love that one.
So does that mean don't take the idea of the date personally, or don't take what they say personally? Or
I hate rejection.
Yeah.
So I try not to take anything personally, because again, it could be where they are in their life. It could be I didn't say the right things. And there's 127 million people, according to Philip, that are looking.
Yep.
Maybe not looking. Maybe they like being single. I think that's the trend of our society right now, is to be single, but not taking it personally. It's almost like no expectations. It's not that I'm not looking for love. And when you say no expectations, like, to me, it's not taking it personally. Like, I'm like, okay, anything can come of this. I don't want to be like, God, I matched with this guy, or Phillips set me up with this guy. Got to really hit it out of the park. But I'm not going to take things personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the number of people who, after their very first meeting, were like, "This is it. This is the one." You hear it, but that's not normal.
And that's it's not the norm, and it's unrealistic to think that, because there's been like 8 stories in existence that I saw her in homeroom and our freshman year, and
she walked in with her 3-ring binder. I just knew.
Trapper Keepers. Remember Trapper
Keepers?
Keepers?
Loved Trapper Keepers.
It was like the new one every year.
Yes, and I didn't know what half of them were because I didn't have a TV growing up. So I would see like Transformers, and I'm like, robots!
What's that thing?
Let's go.
Thomas Rhett, he married his high school sweetheart. But I think there was... they just popped in my head because they have a beautiful family now and obviously a really great career, and people like following them because they're so positive and uplifting. But there was a time where I think in an interview they said they had broke up, like during college or after college, and he was going off to be this big star. But
that's the other thing of not taking it personally. If the first date ends and they don't want to see you again, that's happened to me even recently. And the first reaction I have is like, what did they not like about me? What did I do wrong? Versus what my therapist helped me with is, where were they in their life at this point? Maybe they just agreed to go on a date with you out of a moment. They're at home, had a drink, matched on Tinder. You texted a couple times. They set up the date, and they didn't want to disappoint you by canceling. So don't take it personally. Just go on the first date, get it over with.
You also have those. Another thing about not taking it personally, what if like 6 months pass and they're like, God, I was in a bad place. I was on a date recently and I did not want to be there. And it had honestly nothing to do with that guy. It had absolutely nothing. I had a horrible day. It was really rough, and it was a Monday. Why do I set dates for Monday nights?
Never.
And Mondays are horrible. And I just didn't want to be there. And he was a really nice guy, but I was just like blank. So hopefully he didn't take it personally. But we had a great time. We kept it positive. We had a great conversation. It was not a Debbie Downer. I had to push that to the back because my initial response was, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. And it had nothing to do with him. So that's a good one. We've talked about this a lot. So you match with someone.
Yep.
How long before you meet them?
I mean,
if it's going well.
For me, a few days. Now, everything, that doesn't mean like I'm being super aggressive, of course, but I don't want to text for 4 months and then meet because it's wasteful. The amount of time I've spent, getting to know somebody online and then meeting and being like, well, it's not a match.
Right.
So I'm like, that's 4 weeks. They know all this stuff about me that was just unnecessary.
Well, and then what do you talk about on the first date? Like,
remember when we met 4 weeks ago on Tinder?
You're sitting there eating your fettuccine Alfredo and just trolling it.
Yeah. So I'd say cut down on the texting. If I match with you on Tinder, a little bit but let's go ahead and get something set up. Let's meet in person for a drink very soon. Like right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's the way it used to be. And I think people perceive that as very aggressive or very desperate. To me, that's the way it was. You met through friends, or it was a blind date. You have a matchmaker. You met someone at church and you didn't get to talk much there. So you're like, hey, let's grab coffee. You're actually that's the fun part. You're getting to explore that new relationship. If it's a friendship or something that never happens again, you get to explore that in person and having a great talk. And that leads into like having a lot of like bullet points. I try to put bullet points in my head of, okay, if the conversation is a dud, what are some things we can talk about that aren't political, that aren't too aggressive?
So what are your go-to? What are your give me 3 talking points that you would discuss on a date?
Animals.
Hold on.
Travel.
Let's stop there real quick. How do you bring that up? Like, do you like animals?
Do you like dogs?
List all the animals in the world.
I will have the Tres Amigos. Do you like basset hounds, by the way?
Cats or dogs?
I love basset hounds. If anybody has a basset hound.
So what do you mean animals? Like, give me an example.
Yeah.
Like, do you have dogs?
So have you ever had pets?
Okay.
Right.
All right. So we got a pets question.
Yeah, we have a pets question. Where have you traveled to recently? That one, I don't know because if people don't travel, or because there's some people that don't, I have no desire to leave the country or the state, whatever. So that one's a little touchy because it's like, oh, well, I was just in Barcelona, and it's
Barcelona.
And I've met people and they're like, oh, I've been to Europe 18 times last year, and I'm like, I went to Brentwood, which is about 8 miles from Nashville, because I'm not I love to travel, but I haven't done a lot internationally. So, but it's still fun because then people, if they talk about a state park, or whatever, I'm like, oh my God, I want to go to Canada, I want to go to Banff, I want to go to Yellowstone, and that kind of starts a good topic as well.
All right, what's the third one?
Sports.
Give me an example question.
Hey, Phil, did you see the Titans game last Sunday?
So just a random sports.
Yeah.
But something that you've attended or like.
I lead in with, do you think bowling should be in the Olympics? And if they say
check,
no,
please.
We're done.
Check, please.
No, any sports growing up, what do you like to watch? What do you like to do? Because again, that's a lot of, I would love to meet a guy that liked sports. Like I play pickleball. Thank you, Stacia.
Not a sport.
It's a sport.
Senior citizen sport.
That the younger kids are doing.
They are, because they can't get on tennis courts.
But yeah, I like to, go to that. Music's another one. So sports, music, like entertainment, because I love going to Ascend Amphitheater and just being at the back of the lawn, watching people and watching a show. And then you get to know the music and see all this stuff flows into different subcategories of what kind of music and why do you like that person?
My 3 that I generally go to, speaking of music, I always ask, what was your first concert?
Oh, that's a good one.
Because most people have been to a concert, even if it was just, I had my first one last week versus, when I was 8, I went to see whatever. That's a good one. I like, what's something on your bucket list you haven't done yet? And that for me is like, are they planning for excitement in their future? Or are they just like, I don't really have a bucket list? I'm like, check, please. Like, I got to go.
Yeah.
I do that one. And then I probably get a little too serious because I'll ask something like, what's a mistake that you've made in your past that you wish you could go back and fix?
Oh.
But that's not always great because it'll be like, I
could spiral.
accidentally killed my grandmother when I was 7. You're like,
ran her over.
Ran her over twice.
Thought she was going to make it.
So I'm not saying my questions are the best, but I think those open-ended questions are good. And not being interview style, that's my problem. Is I've got you talked about bullet points, it's lined up in my head. I'm like, as soon as we sit down, what's on your bucket list you haven't been to? If you could go to Thailand with $40, what would you eat? It's just like, let me order an appetizer first.
Well, it's got to be naturally organic. And when people show up late, that throws because I'm a very punctual person. I'm gonna tell you a story. I had a friend, I would always pick her up for church, and she was always late. And I did not like to get to Cross Point late because it was like 3,000 people. Traffic was horrible. I wanted to pick my seat.
Yeah.
There were times where I would pull up to her house. She's like, just put my eyeliner on. I just pulled away because that is your fault. You're done. I'm not waiting for you. That's absolutely, and that didn't happen once. That was like every week. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to church. Well, wait, I'm not waiting for you.
All right. How long will you wait? Let's say it's the first date. You've talked for a week only, and be honest. Let's not be too like, I'd leave in 1 second. Oh. How long do you think you would wait?
6:01 p.m., 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because, okay, here's the thing. Traffic in any city is kind of crazy. I want to be prepared for that. So I would rather be 20 minutes early than 15 minutes late or 5 minutes late because it's kind of like even when an employee calls in, they're like, oh my God, there's traffic. There's traffic every day in Nashville. To me, that's not an excuse.
I agree. And I'm also not going to reach out. Like, let's say the date starts at 6. You're not there by 6:10. I'm not going to text you, where are you? You're grown.
Absolutely.
If you do not have the courtesy or the respect to text me and tell me that you're late, and I had one guy, he was like, I was driving, I couldn't text you. I'm like, bitch, you text and drive. Everybody has done it. Don't use that. So late for me is a huge, I probably wouldn't go on a second date because it's a date. First dates are important. I mean, you don't take them too personally, right? But it's a big deal.
They set the tone.
Yeah. So if you're late on the first one, it's not going to work.
How long are your first dates?
I've been all over the place. I've made the mistake many times of like going to a nice dinner, so that's an hour and a half. I think now, right at this point in my life, I'm shooting for 30 minutes just to kind of, I want to go get a drink. And that's what Wes has been doing that for a while. I've kind of accepted that as a good way to be, to kind of, it's almost like filtering out the people that you do or do not want. I don't want to give an hour and a half of my life to somebody that at the end I'm like, I just don't think this is going to work. So if you just say, let's go get a coffee or a drink, when that drink's over, if I'm drinking really fast, it's not going well.
If you're not.
All right. It's been great.
Got a charity event to get to.
Yeah, 2 of them. Wes is picking me up.
Well, and it is. It's keeping it to a reasonable time frame because on the contrary to that, if you're having a great time, I've been on dates that last like 3 hours and then it fizzled after that.
Yeah.
Like there was the second date. It was good. It was almost too much up front, even though we were having fun. Because then you have coffee and you're like, oh, well, let's grab a light lunch or something. And then you go for a walk in the park or you go to Dave & Buster's or you go to the bar. I don't know where Dave & Buster's came in.
What an odd place to go, right?
There's like 23.
All you hear is just screaming kids, skee ball, loud music. And you're like, where are you from originally?
What's your favorite color? Kids are snotting all over.
Is this on your bucket list?
Or like Kung Fu. That's a grown-up Chuck E. Cheese, right? It's a bar that has ping pong and Connect Four and teeter-totters.
But let me push back on that a little bit. Like first date for me needs to be quieter. I think I don't want, and I think you made a good point. Don't hit it out of the park on your first date. Like if your first date is a helicopter ride over Nashville followed by a private performance by Miranda Lambert at 1200 Club, guess what? The next date at Olive Garden they're going to be like, did you run out of money or?
So you're like, it's like a staircase. You're leading up to some really great
date
things.
One, drink one.
But that's what we see on The Bachelor and Love is Island or whatever. It's like you see all these helicopter rides and
we're going to go bathe elephants. What?
Like, yeah, I get it. I am a very social person, so I like the bar thing because you can kind of talk. And if it's during the day, it's not a nightclub yet.
Yeah.
So the music isn't too loud, but I don't know. I'm a social person. I love a lot of people around.
It's also good to watch to see what they're doing in a bar. Like, are they really paying attention to you, or are they like, answering your questions and like, they know people, or they're
checking other people
or the
out.
TV's on and they're watching the World Cup or something. Like, I'm right here.
Well, it's hard to be a good listener at a bar too if there's a bunch of eye candy going around, or there's like
or I'm there.
Like, or
Sorry, I lost focus. Philip's walking.
Or like some dudes that was at Kung Fu one time and they got in a fight over ping pong because it's a really aggressive sport at a bar apparently, and no money involved. And they're fighting and they're girlfriends. And I'm like, I literally was just, I have no clue what he was saying.
I think being a good listener is tough. It's tough for me because I'm always thinking ahead of like, I could make a joke here or some sarcastic comment. And that's not, I hate that about myself because I'll be on a date and they're talking and I'm like, you know, immediately thinking of the next question, or it's not being present during a date. Yeah. And I do that a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like you're doing right now.
What'd you say? I was totally going to go there.
Wes faded off.
Like, I do. I fade off a lot, but I also talk a lot. So I have a good friend. He is a widow now. His wife, unfortunately, passed away a few years ago. And his name is Philip. So anyway, I will meet Philip for dinner and stuff like that. He's probably 75 or something. And I got to know him and his wife because they lived at one of the communities I managed. And after Sarah Gina passed away, we would still go out and we would talk a lot. And he's a very successful guy, really good listener. Was like a CEO of, I don't know, some company that did something. And he
sounds like he was a great friend.
He just kind of stopped and he's like, "You're going to be single a while." Now, he had a really long marriage. And so I wanted to learn. I'm like, "Why is that?" He's like, "We've been at dinner and you've talked 80% of the time."
You nervous talk.
Yeah.
When you're like, when you're comfortable, it doesn't seem, but you nervous talk and I nervous command. Like I'd like,
nervous command.
I'll just like I'll just throw out like, you know what happens? Like somebody joins the group. I immediately try to get control of the group by like asking the most ridiculous question. Let's go around the room and talk about, and it's like, just
you do a good job with that.
Sometimes.
You do a good job with that. But dating is different than when you're in your friend groups, right?
Yes, of course.
So it's like, if we're talking about whatever, I have to switch my mind to, okay, this is a date. And to not be too robotic, I still want to play it natural, but I want to listen better and ask questions that are more open-ended on like for their end. So I'm not, because I could talk about me all day long.
What about this?
Sad.
How would you find it strange if you and I went on our date and I had like a mason jar that we both would reach in and pull a question out and you answered those questions? Is that stupid?
No, it's very creative.
Like, where am I keeping the mason jar? Is it in my pocket?
You're walking in.
He's got coffee. I've got a mason jar of questions. What's in your glass?
I think that's the thing. You're very creative.
I'm going to do that.
You're very creative, and you can. Yeah, if you're texting the guy or whatever and be like, I'm going to bring a game.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring something.
A wheel in.
A wheelbarrow.
It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
You know, this one, one of the rules or advice for first dates, if you think the date went well, do not ask them out on the spot. That seems weird. Why?
No, I don't think it's weird because you
want them to process the date first?
Well, process it, but if they don't want to, you're putting them on the spot. So if it's like,
I didn't think about that.
Let's change numbers.
Next Tuesday at 11?
Yeah, right. And again, I would take it as a compliment if I was into the person, but if I'm not into the person, I don't want to have to skirt around, because then you have to skirt around the question. And again, too, I wouldn't do it because I don't want the rejection right there. And it's also nice to send a follow-up text saying, hey, that was really fun tonight, or the next day you can say, hey, I had a really great time. If you're not free, or if you're free next week, maybe we can grab dinner or something.
All right. So the date ends. Let's assume there's no sex or anything. It's just a casual first date. Are you hugging, handshake, a bro chest bump? Are we?
A bro chest bump would be nice. No, I go for the hug.
You do a front on hug, a side hug?
A front on hug.
Front on hug. How long are you holding?
Side hug to me is I am definitely not interested.
How long are you holding?
2.5 to 3 seconds.
That's 1, 2, go.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Play it out. Play it out.
And then I walk away and say, hope to see you again. This was great.
Yeah, it depends on the day, right? Depends on
Let's say it was
chemistry.
a good date and you want to see him again, but per this, we shouldn't ask them.
I still would not. I still would not, because again, if he's faking it, or I mean, I feel like the aura, like you're gonna know whether they are like into it or they're just like, oh yeah, I've been to Montana. It was nice. Where else did you travel? Like that to me is like. That's what I'm saying. But if it's like, oh my God, I want to go there. I want to see bears. I want to go to the Smoky Mountains. Have you been to Dollywood? Like energy that we provide, if they're giving that back, maybe we'll be like, hey, in the next couple of weeks, because you probably talked about what your life's like coming up. Be like, hey, once you're back from Boise, or I don't know what's in Boise, but then you can. I would still send a text. I don't think I would do it. I'd be like, hey, this was super fun. Thank you so much. Yeah. But I wouldn't do it right then and there.
All right, so we've got to accomplish 3 things before we finish up. One, let's go over our rules for dating. Since yours have changed, I'll tell you mine. And I've got a dating quiz, and I also want to go over our questions. The question of tell me about you, because I want us to evaluate each other's. Tell me about you. So let's go through your rules for dating.
Well, first one, coffee or mocktail.
Okay,
45 minutes to an hour max, per the matchmaker. That's what we can do. But I adopted that too, because again, like I've said, some go really long and then you just know too much about them, and it could be all good, but it keeps it light and it keeps it fun and fluffy for an hour or less.
Okay.
You want me to go through a few more?
Yeah.
Or
let's
go back and
do,
forth?
I can do, we can do one each. So mine, I've said this before, I try to live by this. Don't approach the date as is this my partner? Approach the date is, does this person fit into my life? And if so, how do they fit into my life? Is it a friend? Is it a networking person? Is it a lover? And that was really helpful for me, because I was approaching every date with a checklist of what I want in a partner. And if they didn't have one of those, I was like, this is not it. There's no way this can work.
Yeah, so you're looking too far down. I try not to divulge too much. So it kind of runs into that first one I had. Like, I don't want to tell you everything. Even if it's all positive and good, I don't want to tell you too much.
Yeah.
So I divulged something to a guy, and now he wants to meet some of my friends that I do the charity work with, because he's a fan of theirs. I divulged, but then he looked up the charity and he saw who was on the events, and he's like, do you know this person? Do you know this person?
Okay.
Do you know this person?
Yeah.
And I don't hang around a lot of famous people. I'm not saying that, but he wanted to meet these people. And I'm like, now that's just weird. It's great you looked up the charity, but I divulged too much.
Yeah.
And it was like, I never said who was on it, but then I'm just like, you never know who you're on a date with, right? A super nice guy, but I'm just like, that was way too much out of the gate to ask.
That's a lot.
I mean, they're dying to meet Philip. So
come on. Some of them are. My number 2 is your number 1, actually, coffee or drinks on the first date. I used to do dinners, long evenings. It's exhausting, honestly. So coffee, drinks, 30, 45 minutes, done. Get up and leave.
Yeah, get up and leave.
Just throw your coffee down and go.
Throw your coffee down.
And don't say you want another date right then.
Yeah, there you go.
Also for me, and we've already talked about this, huge for me is be on time. It is absolutely.
Yep.
And I don't care if you're late, as long as you call or you text me. Just say, I am so sorry I'm late. If you don't text me, we're done.
Yeah, there's too many people out
there.
Unless
I find out your family was killed or they died in an accident or something.
Yeah, well, especially with Nashville, if there's a wreck, like there's no other roads to get around. Like we're gonna get through that. Oh my God, my Uber's late or whatever it is. So to me, it's being true to myself. I still have this thing of like, okay, this is an interview. And it's so robotic, where I'm trying to be a little bit more chill, true to myself. Because again, being authentically yourself, we're either going to match or we're not. It's an organic chemistry.
Yeah.
You can't force it, because if you force it for 5 dates, the 6th date's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get to next year and be like, God, this just isn't the person. But I still have my no one not out or newly out of a relationship.
No one's not out?
If they're not out.
Oh, not out. Like, no one's not out.
They're like, yeah, I haven't told everyone yet.
Oh, yeah.
Then it's just like you're still hiding a part of your life, and I just can't go through that. Or newly out of a relationship, because we've all been there. You don't need to be on a date in the next week, 2 weeks, 2 months. Take that time to heal and kind of move forward. And finally, I just want to have fun. I would feel like you would be really good on a date, like the mason jar thing. That's a really fun thing to do, right? You can look at online for questions and kind of kind of like jot some stuff down and kind of, and it
try
makes you think rather than
and it takes the
what's
pressure off color. It takes the pressure off. What are you going to ask next?
Oh,
like that's what I spend when they're answering their question. I've asked them. I'm like, okay, where can we go next with this? Is there a way should we talk about his bank account or
the bank account? There's also like, what about like putt golf or top golf on a first date?
That's a date too for me because the first one is, do they have a pulse? Are they on time? Can they communicate?
Oh,
is there some sort of connection there? If so, next one, I want it to be interactive. Bowling, putt golf, making out in the park.
6 in a row. This guy, 6 in a row.
Yeah, bowling. By the way, that's what 6 in a row is.
Yeah, 6 strikes in a row, 2 turkeys.
Yeah. And the other ones for me is don't come on too strong. I cannot tell you the number of people who give me that advice, including my therapist, Omar, my brothers. Like, just this time, just don't come on too strong. I mean, I don't know if I show up with a megaphone. All right, let's go.
You're listening to another Philip Hedrick Day.
Yeah. I don't talk about yourself all the time. I try to ask more questions than I answer. I think that's important.
Well, and if both parties did that, you know so much about the other person. So we've all been on those dates. Either you're on that side of the table or they're just you're talking about yourself or they're talking about themselves. And one of our good girlfriends that we know, she was on a date recently and she's like, I had to say, oh yeah, I've been there. She's like, I had to interject me into the conversation because he didn't ask me anything about me. So straight guys do it too.
Yeah. And then the use of phones during a date. That's a rule for me. I mean, if you've got to check your phone, once or twice, of course. But if you're like laughing hysterically at a meme that your girlfriend sent you about the date, like, come on.
Right. Absolutely. And I think we may have said this, but don't text too much before the date.
Yeah.
I don't want to know everything about you. I want to learn about you there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, so
solving the
let's say that we're about to go on a date. We get to our date. I want you to give me your tell me about you response. So here's the setup. We're going to go to a restaurant. I'm your date, and I'm going to ask you the question. I want you to give me your kind of elevator pitch response to, Wes, tell me about you. Okay, so let's go to the restaurant.
Okay, you got. We're like in. Yeah. I want some baby back.
Baby chilies, baby back ribs. All right. Hey, Wes. Thanks for bringing me here to Cheesecake Factory. Hey, just tell me about you.
What do I say? I say I'm from a small farming community in central Illinois. I went to college there, moved to Chicago for a few years, and then was in Austin, Texas. Now I've been in Nashville 9 years. I'm absolutely loving it. I won a national title in a sport in college. You have to guess that one. I like to volunteer for nonprofits. I'm always outdoors. I'm hiking, kayaking. I like to read. I like movies, but I fall asleep within 3 minutes. And that's kind of like... Is that good? Because it encompasses a lot.
Yeah, I like it.
Here's different ways.
Constructive criticism, right? We're both here to give constructive feedback.
Next.
I think some of this information, let's assume you met on a dating profile. I know some of this is on yours, a few of those. So it's like you're kind of repeating the dating profile. I like it. It gives me a general overview of all the things you're interested in.
Yay.
I wouldn't change a ton. I mean, you tell us how long you've been in Nashville, that you've lived in other cities. That opens up the conversation to like, oh, I love Chicago, or Austin's like the Nashville of Texas. Those kind of stories kind of happen from it. I mean, listing all the things that you like. I don't know. Could that come across? Hiking, kayaking, traveling, reading.
Yeah, that's my robotic part again.
Yeah. So making that a little more flowy.
Okay, that's a good.
Yeah.
I like that.
So,
I like that.
Right. Hold on, let me get back to the restaurant.
Sir, would you like a refill?
Can I get a sweet tea, please? All right, so here's my tell me about you. Philip, tell me about you. So I grew up on a farm in Arrington. I moved away from Nashville for about 20 years, and I've been back here 7 years now.
Ooh, okay.
I'm a physical therapist and love my job. Also have a few hobbies that I'm passionate about. I'm a podcaster and most recently a stand-up comedian. And I'm finally in a place that I don't need someone to make me happy, but I want someone to share my life with. And I hope that's you. Pass me the marinara, please.
More free breadsticks. Oh, that's Olive Garden.
Yeah, right.
Cheesecake Factory has free bread.
What do you think? What do I need to
like
change?
That. Well, to the point you made about me, you said you had hobbies you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. So that opens up a, like not a yes and no question, an open-ended question, right? An open-ended, oh, what were those hobbies, right? I think if you told me that you're a stand-up comedian, I would be like I would try to be funny.
Oh, you think it's too early to...
I don't. Yeah, that piece might be a little bit, because it's like, oh God, do I need to be funny? Is he not going to think I'm funny? Because now I want to impress him.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
But yeah, but I really like that one, because again, too, you kind of say where you're from. It's like, oh, he's a small town guy, but he likes the city. I like that. I like that good mixture.
Okay. You know? All right, we've made some changes there. We're ready.
Okay,
it's ready to date now. The dating quiz.
Oh, so yes.
I want you to get, I'm giving you a piece of paper here to your right. It's going to be 10 questions, yes or no. And listeners, if you can keep up with your yes and no's too, I'm happy to give you your results. This is a dating quiz to ask the question, are you ready for a boyfriend? Or girlfriend, however you want to answer it. But for us, are you ready for a boyfriend?
They, them. Okay.
Okay. There's going to be a question with a brief pause, so the questions are just going to keep coming. So here we go. Are you comfortable meeting new people and making new friends?
Is that the question?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
If you see a cute boy, would you go over and introduce yourself? And answer these honestly.
Okay.
Would you be okay with dating a friend? Why are you looking at me? Would you say that you've got a good sense of humor?
Bill, it's like Barry White up in here.
Are you willing to give a cute guy a chance, even if he doesn't fit your vision of the perfect guy?
Oh, gosh.
Have you ever had a boyfriend before or been in a relationship? Are you fond of having new experiences and trying new things? Hell yeah. Do you look after yourself, such as good hygiene, exercise often, and eat healthy?
Yeah, do I have to fit all of those?
Or maybe. Is it important for you to find a boyfriend in the near future? Would you ever let your friends set you up for a blind date?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that's like the best. That is the funnest.
All right, babe. Tally up your scores. Tell me what you got.
I had 9 yeses and 1 no.
Me too.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means?
That mean?
You can have a boyfriend within a week. Yeah.
It's early August, so married by September.
Yeah.
Got it.
You can have a boyfriend within a week. The only thing preventing this is that you seem blind to all the cute guys that you're interested in. So ask your friends for help. So that's
friends.
Yeah, so friends listening.
The friends
we just need help with one thing.
What if we did the blind dates with the girls. Would anybody be open to doing a blind date, male, female, male, whatever, in the studio? We should do more of those, and maybe people we don't know.
Yes.
That would.
I'd also sign up for the blind date.
Philip's like, I am the host and the guest today.
You can be the host. I'll be the guest.
I would host that.
Yeah.
I think blind dates are so much fun.
Love them.
Have you ever had a true blind date?
Yes. 3.
And you were just like,
loved
there's anticipation. You know nothing about them or very little from whoever set you up told you, but there's so much. I see you being really good on a blind date.
Yeah, I think the first one I was so nervous for that I came in way too hot, and the guy was like, it's a different level for me. I'm looking to kind of chill, and you're doing backflips at the restaurant. And
that's the thing. We're so used to being around friends and all that stuff, you know. But dates are different.
Dates are different. Before we finish up, there are a few stats. I pulled a few on here, but I just think some of these are really interesting. 43% of people have Googled their date before meeting them. Do you do that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I know. We have a friend that they have their cop friend do a background check.
It's not the worst.
I should
have done that before. 83% of people who are attracted to men are more attracted to them if they can cook.
Oh God, I'm out.
But babe, just learn one recipe. I'll teach you one recipe.
Can it go in the air fryer?
Yes.
All right, we got it.
You need 1 or 2 recipes, and that's all you need to kind of, initially attract them. 40% of couples were friends before dating. That's a huge number.
That is a big number, because I often ask myself, do I know him or have I not met him yet?
Yeah.
And I've been asking myself that 20 years now.
Yeah.
65% of people on dating sites actually schedule a first date.
That's actually higher than I thought.
Oh, that's way higher than I thought.
I thought because
now that they go through with it, it's scheduled, whatever. What if they live too far away?
I've extended my Tinder range to 100 miles.
Oh, okay. So you hit like Chattanooga and Clarksville.
Everything. Yeah. I mean, if I could drop into others, I think Tinder has that where you can like drop into Paris and but obviously I don't want a long distance. I'd much prefer to have somebody in person. But, when the going gets tough, you extend your distance.
And especially in cities it's hard to get around in, because in Austin, if you live north of the river and they were south of the river, no go.
Same thing in D.C. You could live 0.2 miles apart, and the river, you're like, oh, I'm in Georgetown, oh, I'm in Reston. No.
It's just not going to work.
You search for somebody there.
Yes.
And this is interesting. The top 5 reasons. This was our favorite research center, the Pew Research Center.
Love them.
They interviewed 25,000 people that were currently dating. The top 5 reasons that someone wouldn't choose to go on a date with you, here they are, in no particular order. Lives far away, has a significant amount of debt, voted for Donald Trump, is 10 years or more older than them, and raising children. Those are the 5 big ones. So if you've got any of those and you're not finding love, that could be the reason.
That could be the reason.
Change your vote.
Trump and give the kids
up. Get the kids away. And lie about your age.
Lie about your age.
Right.
This
and
is
hide
fun.
Your debt.
If anybody wants to do a blind date, I'd say we arrange a blind date.
Let's do it. Yeah, reach out. We'd
reach
love
out
to do that.
Us, some way, somehow, 2bottlesdeep@gmail.com. or the old social medias. I love talking about this. It's so relevant. How many times do you go out with friends and you talk about dating or the lack thereof? And gay, straight, we're all in this together. We're all having the same experience. And I think the world's going to turn away from online dating. I really do, somehow.
I doubt it. But my lessons are don't be late. Keep it calm and simple. Don't take it personal. Make the first date short and sweet. And just be nice. But be honest, if you don't like the person, don't drag it on for 3 weeks. You can find a nice way to say, I'm not interested.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we can do a whole episode on that. Nice ways to, hey, had fun. Because we've all had that done to us. And I appreciate that when someone doesn't ghost and they say it. They're like, hey, I just didn't feel the vibe. Perfect.
Fine.
There's really nice ways to say that.
Yeah, I've got another date set up in an hour.
300 million people or however many people there are in the world.
Yeah, lots. Billions. More than that.
Yes, right, Phil. Hey, we're going to be married in a few weeks, according to
I can't wait for our wedding. All right, babe. I hope you have a good week.
You too. Have fun in the dating world.
Yes, you too. I'm probably see you at coffee.
I did. Had one this morning at 8 a.m.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. That's why I was at coffee before here. It was good.
Okay.
I think it's mostly straight. All right.
That's date number 94 for Wes this week. All right. See y'all. Have a good week.
Peace out. Love you, buddy.
Bye. Thanks for listening to another great episode of 2 Bottles Deep.
Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast.
And while you're at it, write us a fabulous review.
Please reach out to us on our email, 2bottlesdeep@gmail.com.
There is plenty of love in this world. Be a part of it.